Coming up, if you're struggling with your app business or any startup or any business in general, then you're gonna wanna watch this because hopefully this will inspire you to keep going because trust me, you'll eventually figure it out. Stay tuned. What is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of appmasters.com. You know, the app marketing agency, YouTube channel, podcast that you go to when you really want the inside secrets of what works in the app space when it comes to growth, in terms of downloads, and most importantly, those revenues. And today, I want to do something different. Hopefully this will be inspiring to you. I want to show you all my failed businesses before my first million and before AppMasters really took off. Okay? There's a lot. So hopefully this will be inspiring to you. And there's a lesson in every single business along the way. So let's get started. All right. First off, this is pixelhappy.com. It was just a website that I built in Flash. So I taught myself how to code in college and minored in computer science as a business major. And I built this website on Flash. Now, it did play earlier before this recording, this Flash intro that I had. Very embarrassing. I hope to recover it and show it off to you guys. But here's the website. I'm super proud of this. And this was actually, look at how nerdy I was back in the day. Maybe I still am, okay? I had my own server. It was a Red Hat server that I hosted at home for this very website because obviously it was getting no traffic. Didn't matter, right? But I was hosting my own website. Pretty nerdy stuff, right? Obviously didn't make any money from this, but this was for me to show off some of my work while I was applying for jobs because I was only 22 at the time and still in college. Now, this is my first ever business that I started in 2023. I was working for a company and we're selling these decals that people would put on cars, and our key demographic was computer nerds who like to mod their computers and they would want stickers. And so here's our most popular: Cobra 1, Superman, Jumpman, Thundercats. We were ranking number one for like Batman decals. When you got specific, we were ranking number one for that. So I had a little bit of SEO knowledge. It was very easy back in the day. And I was able to start making a few sales. I bought a printer and all that stuff. Now, what I saw in the market was these decals were selling like hotcakes on the company I was working for. And we were all buying it. Some of our competitors were all buying it from one source. So I was like, why don't I just be the second source, right? So that's why I started this company. I bought this printer that was $1,000, which was a lot of money at the time. But I took that risk and man, it was a lot of work, but it taught me affiliate marketing. It taught me reaching out to bloggers for them to cover our website and build up backlinks. And then that allowed me to make a few sales through the website as well. So super fun stuff. I built it on OS Commerce and I taught myself how to do all that stuff and built it. And so pretty proud of that. Here's the next project I worked on called Text Track. Now at the time, these are like flip phones back in the day, right? What we had to do was, there were like no apps at the time. You would buy something, right? And you would get a FedEx number. And back then you had to pay for shipping, okay? So you would get a FedEx number or a UPS number, and then I put in your cell phone and boom, we'll just send you an update on the shipment. And it was pretty easy. It was free. I paid somebody to build it and we were off and running. And it was kind of cool. Like I really liked it. I used it myself and I built this too. And I hope this shows you, right? Like all these years from my early 20s all the way to when I finally started at Masters at the age of 33, I was doing stuff. I was side hustling. Things weren't working and at the time, but I was so proud of all these little projects I was building, right? So wherever you are right now, don't worry, you'll figure it out. There's a lesson in everything that you build. Then started making apps, right? Okay. So found myself a developer. Now I knew how to find developers and we made our first app called Who's Hiding. My brother-in-law, who's an artist, designed all of it. And we were kind of playing this hide and seek game. Like, hey, you would see this and you could play with your kid and you'd be like, hey, what's this? Who do you think is hiding on there? And then the kid could tap you and be like, it's an alligator, right? Why am I going to dad voice? But that's what this app was. And that's when things started changing, right? I got the bug. You realize in college, I didn't even know how to code. So I taught myself how to code because during one of my internships, there was somebody who knew how to code. And I wanted to build a website to track our softball stats. I played with a group of boys at the time and we played every Sunday and we keep stats. And it was just this huge spreadsheet. I'm like, dude, I can't sort off of this. I can't do anything, like this is just lame. So I was like, why don't I just take this spreadsheet and make it into a website? And then I said, hey, can you teach me how to code in PHP? I want to learn how to build this website. So here's the lesson. If you're learning how to code, have an idea, have a passion. It could be as stupid as wanting a website for your rec softball team, which is what I did. And I had to input all that data, but it taught me how to do databases, join these databases, all the stuff, all the nerdy stuff that allows me to figure out who to hire when it comes to finding good engineers and how to hack my way through coding because I'm not a great coder. Okay. But this app gave me the bug. I launched this in October 2nd, 2010, reskinned it back in the reskinning days for a Christmas version, same thing, but Christmassy. And then just started making more and more apps, right? This was our most popular app called ABC A Go-Go. And at the time, I knew a little bit about SEO, obviously, because of Decal Happy. See how things are starting to come together. So I called it ABC A Go-Go. And that was because it was like a flashcard app with all the alphabet letters. And the alphabet letters were all things that move. So C for car, A for airplane, B for bus. And I did all the recording. Now, here's the other thing. Here's a little tip for you. When I first taught myself how to code an app, I found a template for a photo gallery app, right? I modified it because for me, when I was learning a new language, a programming language, I didn't know, like hello world, and then what, right? And so modifying the existing code allowed me to start from scratch. Like that first app allowed me to really figure out, oh, this is how everything works. So when I built another app from scratch, I knew how to do that, but I couldn't do it from scratch. And so I just modified a photo gallery into a flashcard app. So if you tap anywhere at the top, it would be like, A. And then if you tapped on the bottom and it was all pixels, right? Like I would know where the pixels are. If you tapped in the bottom, it'd be like airplane. And I did all the voiceovers too. Then I had this love meter, which essentially was a joke app. You take a picture of you and somebody else and we'd be like, hey, our calculation predicts you'll break up in 7 months. It was a silly app. It was more for like a joke app, right? Because fat meter was really popular back in the day where you take a picture of yourself and they just make you look fat, like super cool app. And so I was like, what about love meter? Again, silly things. Who's hiding? So my very first app was in the new and noteworthy as well. Really cool. Back then it was super easy to launch an app, right? Super easy and get thousands of downloads. But that all led me to creating mobile app chat. And at the time it was a podcast and I was listening to a ton of podcasts. Mixergy, Entrepreneurs on Fire, like This Week in Startups by Jason Calacanis. And I loved listening to podcasts. And so I was like, you know what? I should do a podcast. But I felt at the time, because I was listening to all business podcasts, I didn't want to do a business related podcast because it just felt like it was too crowded at the time. Now, the lesson here is we're all in the tech space. Thereby, we're early adopters. So if you think something's crowded, it might not be crowded. Because if you think about podcasts today, they're super crowded. So I was actually early on the podcast train. I was actually early in the app space. This is coming from somebody that never thinks he's early, okay? But hopefully it's a lesson for all of us to realize that maybe we are pretty good at predicting stuff. Okay, this changed everything because it dawned on me. I was like, you know what? Apps are growing. I have my own little side app business. And so why don't I just do a podcast on just apps? And boy, was I early on that. And so that completely changed the game where we got new and noteworthy. And then we hit the top charts under technology and software. And guys, the lesson here is I had done a lot of businesses, a lot of projects that never took off. I did this on the side, built up the audience, the quote unquote, what I call distribution before I ended up finally leaving that job. So the lesson here is when I talk about distribution first, think about how you're going to get distribution. That matters. Like I failed a lot. I even applied for Y Combinator and I got rejected, obviously. It was for an app idea that I had that was like sort of like Urban Spoon. And being a new parent, every new parent, by the way, tries to make an app for kids. I tried to do an Urban Spoon for parents, okay? Got rejected. I failed a bunch of times, but what I've learned from looking back at this and the projects and the businesses, now I have like multiple businesses that have worked for me is because I went distribution first. I knew distribution. So I stumbled onto this. I built up an audience. It was a small audience at the time. And they told me, that audience told me what to do. So long story short, I ended up leaving my job 6 months after starting the podcast. Started in May, left at the end of December. So at the beginning of 2014, I was out on my own. It was through a community, which you heard me talk about already, that allowed me, gave me the courage to leave. And then I started sharing it, all that stuff. The other thing I want to show you is having an audience gives you so many things that you could not imagine. So because of the community that I built and the audience I built, they helped me rebrand from mobile app chat to app masters. And after I left my job, I was still making apps. So this is April 13th, 2014. I launched this camera app called OSnap because I was trying to do a lot of things and trying to figure out what worked. And then I went to a event hosted by Pat Flynn and Chris Tucker. And this was a one-day business breakthrough. And it was during this event that I was like, hey, help me sell more courses. I was doing the playbook back then. It was like, host a webinar and sell a course through that webinar. So I was trying to do all that, right? I was building my own apps, trying to sell courses. I was trying to do some consulting and nothing was really working. And this is why distribution matters. And the lesson I've learned from this is that during this event, they were giving me feedback on my website and how to sell more courses. And I started really thinking, after my session was done, I was able to get up there and really talk about business. After my session was done, I went back to my seat at the event and I started thinking like, what the hell is working? What the hell is working? And it dawned on me, I was like, you know what? People keep asking me, help me with my app launch, help me with my app launch. And so there, I closed down everything I was doing. Like I was trying to sell courses. I said, forget it. I'm not selling courses anymore. And I said, you guys can have lifetime access, but I'm not selling this. And those folks that did take a risk on me, they still are in our community. But I closed down everything and I said, I went all in on help me with my app launch. And so that's why we have an agency, because I just listened to the audience. I wasn't religious about how I was going to make money. I still wanted to make apps. And now we are again 10 years later, but because of the audience and because you guys told me what you wanted from me, I'm able to build a team of over 30 employees now. And now we've bought Indie App Santa in 2024. We're looking to acquire another app in 2025. Our app portfolio is growing. Our app founders community is growing. The same community that at the day of this event, I decided to close down. I restarted it being like, okay, I'm ready to tackle this community once again and really put my best foot forward with now, because I have time and revenues and I figured things out, I'm able to come back to it. So the lesson is, look, all the things that you're working on, you may not know it now, but there are valuable lessons in what you're doing now that you won't know and won't truly hit you until you've quote unquote made it. And I'm thankful for the community. I'm thankful for the audience, because without you guys, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without just the feedback and you telling me what you wanted from. That's it. Let me know what you thought about this video, because I know it's a little bit different from what you're used to hearing from me. And in 2026, I want to do more of this, like opening up our business and showing you how we run our business, the things that I'm thinking about, and so much more. So you tell me, just like you did in 2013, 2014 range, what you want from me. Okay, till next time. Happy New Year, or to hopefully seeing you guys in person 2026. I'll see you on the next video.